am Cassie, and I am 22 years old. My parents and I lived in a high-end neighborhood. We were what you could say rich. My dad had his own company, but we were happy. Then my mom got really sick. The doctors could not explain what it was, but it hit really hard. She was in the hospital for 2 months, then she took a turn for the worse. We lost her at month 3 of her hospitalization. Days leading up to her funeral, my dad acted like nothing happened. We drifted apart and I stayed to myself. My mom was my best friend, and the funeral was so hard for me. Not too long after my mom died, my dad remarried someone that was gorgeous but 2 years older than me. I hated it, though. I was still mourning, and my dad was going along with his life like everything was perfectly fine. It felt like he was cheating on my mom. She was a gold digger, and either my dad did not know or did not care. He bought whatever she asked for, and even surprised her with things she would be talking to her friends about. There was a time she said she hated her car because the inside was too cramped. He came home the next day with a brand new car for her. He said I would be getting her another one, but she went behind his back and sold it. Another time she was on the phone with one of her friends talking about these earrings she saw on a website and how they were beautiful. My dad found out and looked at the website and went and got them. She will also ask him to drive an hour or so away to get this organic protein powder she uses. She does not drink them, but she is hoping for a sponsorship if she buys and promotes it on her social media. She will do the puppy dog eyes when she wants money from my dad. She is the most absurd person I have met. She is also horrible. For someone who can easily call and have somebody come clean the house, she asks me. I am a full-time college student and I have a job of my own. I have to drop everything to do what she says because I'm your stepmom, you have to. I come home from work at about 11 p.m. and she is up on her computer asking why I'm out so late. And I tell her every time that I was working. She never listens and says I'm out whoring around and to go clean the kitchen. In the mornings before I leave for school, she tells me to clean the living room. Like deep clean. Dust, vacuum, mop, wipe the windows. I have almost been late for school since she showed up. I have tried to tell my dad about it and he just brushes it off like it's nothing. I am almost convinced she has him under some kind of spell. I had my own life, of course, when I was not working. I was seeing this guy from work. He did not live in the greatest place, but he was close enough to work that he walked because he didn't have a car. His name is Richard. And he is the sweetest guy. Money or not, he makes me happy. The only happiness I had since my mom died. I told my dad about him and he got furious, saying I cannot date lower class and that he would disown me if I did. I did not care. He obviously cares more for his new wife and his company than he does his own daughter. I continued to see Richard because I love him. And I was always relaxed when I am with him. I always made sure to cover my tracks so my dad would not find out. Not like it mattered whether he did or not. One day me and Richard were on a date at the mall. I did not know it was my stepmom's day at the mall. We were at the food court getting lunch and I saw a flash out of the corner of my eye. I did not think anything of it, of course. Richard and I continued with our date and I told him I think someone was following us. He laughed and assured me it was nothing. We had an amazing day. At about 7 o'clock, we went to the movies, and I get a text from my stepmom with a picture of me and Richard from earlier that day, saying I will keep my mouth shut, but you have to clean your dad and I's room for the next month. I told Richard, and he told me it probably is not even us, and that it would not prove anything. He always knew how to calm my anxiety. I took him home around 10 or 11 p.m. and told him I would see him at work the next day. He smiled and gave me a kiss. I got home all smiley and happy. I walked into my stepmom sitting on the couch with her phone in her hand. She looked up and had the picture in the chat with my dad about to send it. I told her that I did not care because he cares more for her than he does for me anyway, and went to my room. She came in my room and asked me what my problem was. And I said that she was my problem, and that ever since she showed up, my dad has not given a crap about me. She scoffed and walked out, leaving my door open. I got out of bed to close it and sort of slammed it on accident. She came back and told me if I slammed the door again, I would be doing more housework. I flipped her off and closed my door and fell asleep listening to music. The next day at work, I walked up to Richard from behind, hugged him, and started telling him about what happened with my stepmom when I got home. He pushed me away and said I was being stupid, and that I had no right to talk to her that way. I was shocked from the way he acted. He was never like that. He ignored me the rest of his shift, and did not even tell me goodnight when he got off work. When I got home, my stepmom was in her usual spot. I decided to neglect her presence and went to clean the kitchen like I always do. But when I got in there, it was already clean. I was confused, but did not think any more of it. I told her goodnight and went in my room. I called Richard and asked him about his attitude today. He toyed and said he was having a dreadful day and that I just pushed him over the edge. I apologized and asked if we could spend time together tomorrow. He was silent for a minute, then came back and said, "Yeah, I don't think so," and hung up. I was puzzled and hurt. He never blows me off. What the hell? The next morning, I woke up with a text from Richard, with him saying I was out whoring around with the other coworkers, and that is why I get home so late. He said that I was cheating and lying to him, but I was not. I replied back with, "What?" And that was the end of our conversation that day. I came into the kitchen red-eyed and sniffling. My stepmom came up to me and hugged me and asked me what was wrong. I told her what Richard said, and she did not say anything for a few seconds, then hushed me, patted my back, and said it was going to be okay. She walked me to the table where she had breakfast and coffee waiting for us. We do not get to spend a lot of time together, so I wanted us to sit and talk. I was cautious, thinking about the phone she has and why she is all of a sudden being nice to me. We sat and chatted for what seemed like forever, but was only a couple of hours. I told her I needed to head to school and went to grab my keys. She took them from me, shook her head, and then gave me a set of different keys. I looked up at them and ran outside. She had bought a car for me that was the same one my dad said I was going to get, but new. I thought it was so weird how nice she was being after all this time of basically hating me. I called my dad on the way to class and told him what happened. He laughed and said, "Well, I'm glad my girls are finally getting along." After class, I came straight home so I could ask my stepmom if she would want to go out to dinner. I walked inside and called out her name, but I could not find her. I did it again, and she yelled back that she was in the shower and to give her a few minutes. I sat on the couch and turned on the TV. Her phone went off, which is weird because she usually takes it everywhere with her. I looked to see who it was so I could tell her. It was Richard. My heart started racing, and I began to put together why she was being so nice. I unlocked her phone and saw all the messages between them and how he was going to break up with me for her. She said she was planning to show my dad the picture anyway to get me out of the way. I kept listening for the water and took pictures of the conversation on my phone. I acted like nothing happened when she came out and asked me what was wrong. I shook my head and said, "Nothing, I just wanted to see what you were doing this evening." She laughed and said she had plans with her friends for dinner, and that I could come too if I wanted to. I pretended to get a call and said that my boss needed me to come in because someone called in. Around 6 p.m. she left and I followed her. I knew she was up to something, I just did not know what it was. She pulled up to a restaurant that me and Richard went to for our dates. I sat in my car and watched her. She was meeting with Richard. She told me I could come because she knew I was not going to. She is cheating on my dad with my boyfriend. I slowly got out of my car, camera ready, and got closer so I could get a good picture, to where you know who was in the picture. I took the picture right as they were kissing. After I took it, I sent it to her just like she did me, and I told her I would keep my mouth shut if she deletes the picture of me and Richard. I saw her look at it, show Richard, and they started laughing. I was furious. The next day, I went up to my dad's office and asked if I could print off some papers for school. He gladly agreed, and we had a lovely conversation. It was nice getting some time with my dad. Now I had all the evidence I needed to expose her. That night, we were all sitting and chatting, and I said I had something for my dad. I gave him the papers I printed off, one being the picture I took, and the others were of the conversation. My dad lost his smile and his eyes widened. He looked over at me and then looked at my stepmom, and said he made a mistake with her and that she was nothing but a lowlife. He told her to pack her things and get out of his house. She left that night, and me and my dad were both angry and heartbroken, but we had each other, and that is all we could ask for.